Okay, in this small video, I'm gonna show you guys how to create Java documentation. So we'll look and see how you add the documentation to your program and then how you run it so you can check for warnings and errors and then how you view it. So the Java doc comments, for example, if I want to add a Java doc comment here for my class, I would put / 2 asterisks and press enter. And then I can add a description here for my class, what it does. I can also add a tag for the author. So this creates an HTML file. So if you know HTML, then you can do anything that you can do with HTML with this. So here's just a tag. It's going to say author. And notice that when you type in the @, it gives you all the different option tags. So we're going to use author and we're going to use since. So it would be the date that this was created and then the version. So here automatically, when you do author, this is, if it's like if you're working in the lab, you would put the lab number on there, but so let's put the author and then add some cents and then the date. So the date is formatted day first. So like if the day is the 27th, and let's say that it's the 27th of so typically we're at 1 like that. So the 27th of, let's say it's May and 2025, something like that. 2/20. So this is May 27th, 2030. And the last thing we'll put is the version. This is version 1. And then for each method, it's going to expect that you add documentation. So the main method. And typically your classes are not going to have main methods because the main methods, as we get into creating our own classes, you'll see that the methods are the classes that have a main is just so that we can test the classes that we create. So for the main method, automatically when we added the comments, it added this tag for us because it looks at the method and it notices that there's one argument. So it puts the parameters on there automatically. So we're always going to have the description. And then also with methods, sometimes when somebody takes the program and they edit the program, they add something to the program, then it could be that this method wasn't created by the original author, so we would put the author on there. If the method returns anything, we'd use the return. We'll talk about throws later. So those are basically the ones that we're going to use. So would say like main method does this, and then it doesn't have any return values. This one doesn't have any return values either. And it doesn't have any parameters, so it doesn't add any tags. By the way, for your parameters, you want to describe the parameter, like what is the parameter? So this one, I added one that has a return value. So we would say returns an integer, which is one more than the parameter ABC. And then ABC is an integer. And let's say that this integer was a count or something. It counts whatever it counts. Okay, how many times you pressed a key. So then you would write that there as a description. So ABC is a counter for, well, so on and so forth. Now, when you actually create this, it will put the name of the method. It will get it from here. So I don't have to put the name of the method here, but I could put a description of method here. And here I could put description of methods. Okay, and then so once I add for every method that I have, I need to have one of these. Now, if I don't have them, it's okay. It doesn't give me errors. It just gives me warnings. So for example, I'm going to take these out and then I'm going to run it just to show you the warnings. Look at that. So right now what I'm going to do, so if I do run here, what I'm running is the program. I'm not running my Java documentation. To run the Java documentation, I'm going to go to File, Export, click on Java Doc. This is probably closed on yours, so I'm going to open it, click on Java Doc, next. At this point, if you have other projects open here, it's going to list all the projects you have opened. You just want to make sure you check off just the project that you're working on. And then it's going to ask, do you want to create Java documentation for things that are private, for package, for protected, or public? So automatically just creates documentation for everything that's public. And then the destination, this is where your Java doc is going to go. So it's good that you look at it. You can also, it's going to show up here on the Project Explorer window, but it's going to be like, I have a folder on my desktop called Eclipse. Here's my project called Variables. It's going to create a doc folder and it's going to put my Java documentation in there. Or my HTML file. I think that's it on here. So I'm going to click finish. And when you click finish, it at the bottom here, you notice in red, it actually looks at the HTML and make sure that everything's okay, that there are no errors, that your Java documentation. There are 3 warnings, so let's look at those warnings. Warnings, we don't have to fix the warnings. It will generate the documentation with the warnings. So it says no description for this parameter argument. So it says, I got it here, but you didn't write a description. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's the description of the argument. What does this argument do? So now if I do it again, so I had 3 warnings. Now I have 2 warnings, so that warning went away. My next warning says use of default constructor, which does not provide a comment public class variables. So we haven't discussed constructors yet, so we don't have to worry about that. Don't worry. This next one, no comment for the void method one. That's the one that I took out purposely so you could see that. So that's a warning. It just says, hey, you have a method there and you didn't put any comments. So let's add that comment back. And then let's go ahead and run again. Now I'm down to one warning, which has to do with the constructor, and I'm not going to worry about that because we haven't gotten to creating our own classes and constructors. So now here, notice this new folder, and this new folder actually was created when I had the 3 warnings. So in the folder, if you remember, it said that it was going to put my documentation in the doc folder. So the document has to be here. So the name of my project is called Variables. And I do have a package called Serrano-Correa. So my document's actually going to be in the package. If you didn't have a package, then it wouldn't be inside a folder. So I have to open this folder. Once I open the folder, I'll see variables.html. So yours might be in a different place, but what you're going to look for is name of the project. It's called variables or whatever it's called, and then .html. See, nothing else says variables. And then when you open that, you see the actual HTML file. And that's not what you want to see. What you want to see is the actual documentation, like the Oracle documentation that we've looked at before. So I'm going to minimize this, and I'm going to go to my folder that has Eclipse. Here's my Eclipse folder. Here's my variables folder. And then here's the doc folder. Here's my package folder. Yours might be here if you didn't have a package. Here, so I double click on that. This is a file you want to send me. So it created all this for me, put the package that it's in, it put the name of the class. My class is called Variables. All classes are inherited from the class object. This is a public class. It extends object, so it means that it inherits from the mother class, the object class. These are the words that I wrote. This was description for class. So here you would write, what is the purpose of this class? So you would write that there. This class calculates blah, 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 blah. So this is the date. And I believe this is the way the dates, the version and the author, the dates are written. Date, and then the month, and then the year. We can take a look. We haven't talked about constructors, but constructors are there. This is the warning that it was given us earlier that it was using a default constructor, but we had no description. But we're not dealing with that right now. Then all the methods in my class are going to be here. Main method, method 1, method 2. Here are descriptions that I gave each one. Now, if I click on method 2, it takes me to that stuff that I typed in. So I typed in the description of the method. So I just put description of method here. Remember, I didn't really give it a description. I just put description of method here. There. Method 2. But I did give my parameters. I did give them a little bit of a description and my return value. So let's look at that. So parameter says ABC is a counter for blah, blah, blah. Int, the return int, I don't know what I wrote on there, is one more than the parameter ABC. I misspelled something. Return int, I think I was trying to say which is, I'll just say is one more than the parameter ABC. Okay, so every time I make changes, I just need to rerun it and it'll recreate my HTML file. And then if you remember, so this is the file that you're going to be sending me. this one. And then if we look up, like, let's look up the string class. Looked at before in class, string class Java. So here's the documentation for that class. So it's the same thing. Name of the class. They all inherit from object. Here's the description. The string class represents character strings. So all this here is the description. All that stuff is a description. That's a big description. So you don't have to have little descriptions. You can have big descriptions. Here's since JDK 1.0. So what they do is they put the name of the, like, this class has been available since this version of the JDK. Then if we want to look at the methods, here's all the methods that the string class provides. And then if you click on one, it takes you to the bottom and it gives you that description. So here's just what it returns. No, so this is a description first. Here's the parameters for this one chart at. Here's the return value. And then here's the exception that it throws. Okay. All right. Hope that is helpful.